And so I create a little variety. I've said before, and since it's in my mind, I'll say it again. I have nothing against those who do the same verbatim opening in every video. That works for them. It doesn't bother me, but it's not my style. I am totally unscripted. I do things on the spur of the moment. I get a wild hair. Like I was picking up my title cards and just took a notion to do the flip. And I did. When you're thoroughly amateur like I am, you can be thoroughly amateur and nobody's going to point and say, he thinks he's professional, but look at him. Nobody thinks I'm professional. Egad, I sure don't. This is a Sippin' and Talkin' video. You may or may not have noticed that in the name of it. And I will be talking, but now I need to do some sipping. A Glencairn. I think that is kind of like a Scot might say it. How's that for a definite maybe? Whiskey. In the original Star Trek episode, A Rose by Any Other Name, not the longest episode title they had. That was For the World is Hollow and I Have Touched the Sky, which I can't stand. But A Rose by Any Other Name, it might just be By Any Other Name, I'm not sure. But Scotty is plying an alien who has taken human form with liquor, and he brings out a bottle of very old Scotch whiskey. And whiskey is the Scots word for whiskey. It's a little closer, I think, to the original Gaelic Uishkaba. I speak no Gaelic. The only Gaelic word I'm certain of is Machai, my last name in Gaelic. And the Scots call it Gaelic. I have, just for grins and giggles, I have watched some video of the Scottish Parliament, and they have politicians up there talking about Gaelic. And if you think that's a horrible Scottish accent, so do I, so don't yap at me. Nobody comments on my videos hardly anyway. This is Bernheim Original Wheat Whiskey Barrel Proof. Comes from the Heaven Hill Distillery in, not Versailles. I can't remember where it's at now. Let me see if I can find that on here. Well, I don't see it here. I'm pretty sure it's not Versailles. That's some other big name distillery. And watch, everybody out there who knows anything is going to tell me I'm all wrong on everything, but I'm married. I'm used to being all wrong on everything. See, I'm right. I've always been right. I'll always be right until I argue with my wife. Then the 2 rules of marriage come in. Rule number 1, the wife is always right. Rule number 2, when in doubt, see rule number 1. Back to the whiskey. It is batch 924, or B924, which means it's the second batch of the year. It was in September of 2024. It's 122.6 proof. It even has the mash bill right on the label. 51% wheat, so it's a barely legal wheat whiskey. 37% corn, which is a high corn percentage, and 12% malted barley. I'm not much of a fan of the regular, I believe it's 90 proof Bernheim. Good stuff, Maynard. This was $74.99, at Kelly Liquors. Got it on the 3rd of March. But of course, as I said, this is Sippin' and Talkin'. It's not a review. And I look over at the clock on the microwave and I see that it's 23:46, 11:46 p.m. for y'all civilians. I've been out of the Air Force since 1982 and I still think in military time. It just makes more sense once you learn the system. And the reason, there are a lot of videos where I just give you the date, time, all that. But this is the 23rd of April, and the reason I mention in this video the date and the time is just about 12 hours ago, I was down at the VA hospital talking to the cardiologist. Except a cardiologist is a physician trained in cardiology. This was a nurse practitioner. And I've mentioned in various videos that I had some heart trouble back in February, spent 4 days in the hospital, got myself a stent. And the way I feel now, except that I don't have the heart problems, I feel as good as I ever did. For about a month, beginning on, and I won't go into why I can remember this date, but beginning on January 14th of this year, I had a problem that day, 2 weeks with nothing, and then gradually increasing until February 13th, where I had to call 911. It hurt. Oh boy, did it hurt. And the reason I'm talking about this is I'm a little confused. For one thing, my blood pressure today was high, but a month ago when I went, I'd made an appointment in late January, early February, I can't remember what, to get in to see about what I was experiencing. Well, I wound up in the hospital before the appointment, then I went to the appointment, had good blood pressure then. Today it was high. The paramedics who responded to my 911 call told me I was not having a heart attack. 2 or 3 different doctors, including the one who did my stent, told me that I did not have a heart attack. But the nurse practitioner today said, "Oh yes, you had a heart attack." I'm confused. Then on the first appointment that I had that I'd made before the hospital and went to after the hospital, I was telling them, in a situation like this, I'm on drugs for the rest of my life. Got to keep my blood pressure down. Got to keep clots from forming in the stent, because both of those things are dangerous once you have had a heart problem. And I was telling them about the stuff I take, including OTC stuff, over the counter. And I mentioned that I had gotten tired of generic allergy medicine not helping me, so I had bought some Allegra D. They said, "Well, don't take it. The D is means it has a decongestant in it, and that can elevate your blood pressure." Okay, I didn't take it. The nurse, whatever she was, I think she was an NP as well. And this is cool. The VA mails me my prescriptions. It's bad enough I have to go down there for appointments. If I had to go down and pick up the prescriptions too, I'd switch them to where I work at. It's a ways down there through stupid traffic, stupid roads. Parking is crap. But anyway, they sent me the same thing as Allegra D, except minus the D. Said, "This won't elevate your blood pressure." Well, today, the NP told me, "Oh yes, that stuff will elevate your blood pressure." And I suspect that is why my blood pressure was high today, because when I got up, my allergies were bothering me, so I took one. And it's a 24-hour type of deal. Smells good, this does. So I'm confused. What else? Oh, and then this whole nurse practitioner thing. When it used to be, not that many years ago, 29 years ago when I come to Albuquerque, if you went to see the doctor, he was an MD. He had the medical doctorate. Then more and more you started seeing physician's assistants. And now you got nurse practitioners, and the PAs and the NPs can prescribe. I did not see a physician today, unless I passed one in the hall and didn't know he was a physician. They don't always wear the white lab coat. Everybody wears scrubs now. And I think scrubs look a ton better than those old style white nurses' uniforms. And no doubt they're a whole lot more convenient. But I didn't see a physician today. I haven't seen a physician since February in the hospital, and that's where I learned that there's such a thing as a hospitalist. That is an MD who specializes, he works at a particular hospital and specializes in treating the patients that come through his hospital. I didn't know there was such a thing. It makes sense. But I make an appointment to see a doctor. I don't see a doctor. I see a PA. I see an NP. I'm confused. More than that, I are cornfused. Should I sip? Yes, I have talked. Now I must sip. Okay, I'll sip. I can't remember if I've uploaded it, but I have recorded a review of this, and I almost swallowed the wrong way. Even 80 proof whiskey does not feel good if it goes down the wrong way. At, what did I say this was? 122.6. If that goes down the wrong way, uncomfortable. There are perils and pitfalls, and if it ever gets to where I do have a consistent problem with whatever going down the wrong way, then I'll have to stop drinking whiskey. That'll just be too hurtful. And by the way, nobody at the hospital, when I was there, nor the first, I think, NP I saw, nor the NP today, none of them have told me that I should reduce or eliminate my alcohol. They haven't talked to me about my eating other than to say, well, eat healthy. And there's a problem, because I can cook anything as long as the instructions are on the package. Only thing I can cook from scratch is fried potatoes, and it takes so long to cook them right that by the time I realize I want them, I'm so hungry I can't wait that long. Yeah, too big. Right in the way. This is the best setup I've ever had. It's still thoroughly amateur. If I had a regular schedule, especially now that I am trying to eat healthier and I'm dealing with drugs and all this, I would set myself up a regular schedule of eating. And then I would know, well, tonight, let me make a skillet of fried potatoes. I'd be able to start in plenty of time, but I can't do it. My schedule's different all the time. But I are confused. I expected a lot of talk about what I should eat, what I shouldn't eat, and I haven't got that. Of course, I only had the one blockage, and though it was 95%, my other arteries are clear. They haven't found any other problems, not with my lungs, not with my heart. So maybe it's not that big a deal. You know, in 20 or 30 years when I'm 80, well, in 20 years I'll be 86. Give me 30 years, I'll be 96. And it's a possibility. My grandma would have lived past 83, except cancer got her. You know, until the cancer comes, she was trucking right on along. My wife is 79, and to look at her, to see the way she moves, to see how much she works, you would think she's 59. Now, I know pretty much zip about my family. I know that my aunt, who, when we moved to Albuquerque, she cut off communication. Don't ask me why. I don't know. She cut off communication. She never told us. But last I knew, this was 30 years ago, and she was, I would imagine, in her 60s then. Maybe 70s. I knew once when she was born, and I can't remember, but I think she'd be in her 90s now, but I don't even know if she's alive. My grandma, I know, died at 83 from cancer. I think the minor mental problems that and this is sounding much worse than it is. I say minor mental problems, just weird things. You know, I'm not going around worried about my mental health. Well, if you have mental health, then what's the problem? It's mental illness that should concern you. Just as if you're healthy physically. Big deal, that's the way it's supposed to be. But there are some weirdnesses in me and my brothers. Well, me and one of my brothers. My little brother has a different father that I think came down from, no, different father doesn't matter, because I think it came down from my grandfather, whom I never knew. Never knew my grandparents on my daddy's side, so, you know, there may be 40,000 histories of heart disease in my family, but I don't know it. In a very real sense, my family begins with me and my wife. But anyway, I'm getting way off track. What, I'm weird? You just now figured that out? You ain't been watching my videos much, have you? And I like to just be me. And me is not just, straight and sober and never having any fun. That's a stereotype of the Puritans, and while the Puritans certainly weren't infallible, they weren't that way. They liked to have fun. They wore color. You see the painting of the Puritans tramping through the snow carrying their fowling pieces going on the way to church, they're all dressed in black. No. They wore color. The enemies of Christianity write a lot of our history. But this is what happens when I have no script, and I don't, never do. There's a rabbit. Wait, let me chase it. And after I chase all the rabbits, I'm not even in the same field, much less on the same path through the field. But yeah, it kind of confused me today. Now, I'm supposed to go back in 7 weeks, the NP, and I'm going to have to learn these people's names if I'm going to be seeing them regular. But I'm not good with names. She wants me to go back in 6 weeks just because of the blood pressure thing. and she adjusted my medicine, the dosage of it, and one of them she adjusted the frequency from once a day to twice, and hopefully that'll do the trick. I wonder if the blood pressure thing wasn't just because I never take pills, never have in all my life unless I had to. And so when I first started taking the blood pressure medication, it probably had an immediate dramatic effect. And now after a month, or 2 months really, maybe my body's adjusted. I don't know. To me, that makes sense. But some of the stuff, this other stuff I've talked about that confuses me, to me it don't make no sense. So, I've moved the bottle. That means I'm about to finish. This is good stuff. If you don't mind spending, what did I say? $75. And of course, where you are, it may be more, maybe less. If you don't mind spending $75, I don't know about other batches. The B924 Bernheim Barrel Proof Wheat Whiskey is good stuff. Here's to y'all.